everyone, it's Lala. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to crochet the cutest summer accessory, this adorable Aperol Spritz bag charm. If you don't know me, hi, my name is Lala. I'm a crochet designer who loves turning yarn into just about anything, from stylish wearables to cute amigurumi and everything in between. So make sure to hit that subscribe button so I can keep creating free tutorials and sharing new ideas. Let's start crocheting! We're going to start off with this off-white yarn color, and we're going to start by making a magic ring. If you're not sure how to make a magic ring, I'll link a tutorial now on screen, very detailed and slow, but I'll still go over it very quickly. You're going to put the yarn on your hand like this, on your palm, make an X shape, put the yarn between the pinky and the third finger. When you have two parallel lines, you're going to insert the hook under the first line, grab the second line, turn the hook around, and grab with the hook's head this yarn here between the pinky and the third finger into the loop we just created. Next, we're going to work 8 single crochets into the magic ring. So to work a single crochet, you're going to insert your hook into the ring, yarn over, into the ring, and when you have 2 loops on your hook, you're going to yarn over into both loops. I recommend using a stitch marker to mark the first stitch. And now we're going to work 7 more single crochets into the ring. So again, into the ring, yarn over, into the ring, 2 loops on our hook, yarn over, into both loops. Now we have 2 single crochets. You can see here this V shape. Each one is a stitch. Let's work 6 more single crochets. Now we're going to close the ring. When we have 8 single crochets, pull this strand here, take out the stitch marker, and then we're going to insert a hook into the first stitch we marked with the stitch marker, yarn over, into the stitch. When you have 2 loops on your hook, you're going to grab the left one into the right one to form a slip stitch. Then you're going to chain 1. Next, we're going to work an increase in each of the next 8 stitches in the round. How to work an increase? We're inserting the hook into the stitch, into the first stitch of the round, the one we just slip stitched into, yarn over, and finish to make a single crochet. And into that same stitch, the same hole that we just made a single crochet into, we're going to insert our hook and work another single crochet. And this is an increase. So instead of 1 stitch, we now have 2. Move over to the next stitch and work an increase as well. 1 single crochet into the same stitch, same hole, another single crochet, and work an increase 2 single crochets in each of the next 6 stitches left. Now you're supposed to end up with 16 stitches around because we increased 8 stitches. Now we have to have 16. So count your stitches and make sure you have 16 stitches. And then we're going to insert our hook into the first stitch of the round, yarn over, into the stitch, When you have 2 loops on your hook, grab the left one into the right one to form a slip stitch. Then you're going to chain 1. For round 3, we're going to start by working 1 single crochet into the first stitch of the round, the one we just slip stitched into, that hole here. So insert your hook, yarn over into the stitch, and when you have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over to form a slip stitch. Again, you can use a stitch marker if you want for that first stitch. You're going to move over to the next stitch and work an increase. Just like we did in the second round, 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. And this is what you're going to repeat until you reach the end of the round. 1 single crochet followed by an increase. Move to the next stitch, work a single crochet, 1 single crochet, and then in the next stitch 2 single crochets in 1 stitch, what we call an increase. 1 single crochet and an increase in the next stitch. I'm going to finish my round off camera. I'll see you back again at the end of the round. Don't forget that we're not making any stitch into the slip stitch. At the end of this round, you're supposed to end up with 24 stitches. And this is round 3. Make sure you have 24 stitches around, and if you do, you can insert your hook into the first stitch of the round. Yarn over into the loop. When you have 2 loops on your hook, grab the left one into the right one to form a slip stitch, then chain 1. And this was round 3. To start round 4, we're going to start by working 1 single crochet into the first stitch of the round. 1. Move to the next stitch next to it and work another single crochet. 2. And then in the third stitch, we're going to work an increase. So 1 single crochet. Sorry about the parrots. I live next to a big tree. And another single crochet into the same stitch. And this is the pattern that we're going to repeat. 2 single crochets followed by an increase. So let's do that again. Move to the next stitch and work 1 single crochet. Move to the next stitch and work another single crochet. And then in the next stitch, work an increase. 1 single crochet and another one into the same hole. Repeat this pattern until you reach the end of the round. You're supposed to end up with 32 stitches. And last increase. 1 and 2. Insert your hook into the first stitch of the round. Yarn over into the stitch, make a slip stitch, and chain 1. Next, you're going to grab a pair of scissors and cut off the yarn. Leave a medium tail just so we can weave it in later. Pull away the hook and tighten the stitch up. We're going to start making the first orange slice, and we're going to start again by working a magic ring. And for round 1, work 8 single crochets into the magic ring, just like we did before with the bottom. Once we have our 8 single crochets, we're going to pull the magic ring short tail and close the ring. So the first and last stitches are close to each other. Then we're going to join the round by inserting the hook into the first stitch of the round. Yarn over into the stitch and join the round by working a slip stitch and chain 1. Next we're going to work a round of increases, so into that first stitch we just made, we're going to insert the hook and work an increase. 1 single crochet and 2 single crochets in 1 stitch, and do the same for the next 7 stitches. Two single crochets in the same stitch. I'm going to finish my round off camera. When you reach the end of the round, you're not going to close it as we did before. First, we're going to insert our hook into the stitch, like this. Then put the work on the table. Grab the off-white color we used before, wrap it around your finger, then put it on the hook. Hold both the off-white yarn and the orange circle together and insert the hook with the white yarn into both loops. Then you can pull the orange strand to make it tighter. And now we're going to start working with the off-white yarn. So first, chain 1. And next we're going to work into the back loops only. If you look at the top of the stitches, you see 2 loops. This is the back one and this is the front one. The back one is the one that's further away from us. We're going to insert our hook between the loops and not under both of them. So between the loops here. So you have 1 loop on your hook. Yarn over into the orange loop only. And then you're going to work a slip stitch. So grab the left one into the right one. This is our first slip stitch of the round. Move to the next stitch and do the same thing. Insert the hook between the loops. Then yarn over into the orange loop only. And grab the left one into the right one to make a slip stitch. And we're going to do that again and again into each of the 16 stitches of the previous round. Here we have our 16 slip stitches in off-white color. We're going to insert the hook between the loops of the first slip stitch. Then we're going to drop the off-white yarn and grab back again the orange yarn into our hand. Yarn over and into both loops. Join the round. Then you're going to chain 1. We're going to slip stitch around, work 16 slip stitches into the back loop only, all the way to the end of the round. Might be a little challenging because the yarn is fine and the hook is small, but take your time all the way to the end of the round. Now that we've worked the last slip stitch, we're not going to join the round, we're going to chain 1, grab our scissors and leave a long tail for sewing. Pull away the hook and tighten the stitch up. We have the space here so we can sew it onto the glass. What we're going to do next is cut the off-white yarn, but we're going to leave a very long tail because we're going to make the lines inside the orange slice. So grab your scissors and cut a very long tail for the off-white yarn. Grab a darning needle, insert the off-white yarn into the eye of the needle. And now in order to make the lines, we're going to start from the side. Pick any point you like, right here under round 3. Then when it's out this side, we're going to insert the hook into the center of the magic ring, center of round 1. Then do the same from the exact opposite point. Then we're going to do the exact same thing, only from the previous point, to make an X shape, or a plus shape to be more exact, into the center of the magic ring and out from the opposite point. Now that we have our plus shape, we're going to work one line between every 2 lines. So start from wherever you like. And try to make it symmetrical as possible. Of course, it's handmade, so we cannot guarantee 100% symmetry, but that's the whole magic, I guess. And one last line from here to here. You can take out the darning needle once you're done and put the slice aside to make the second slice. To make slice B, you're gonna repeat everything we did, rounds 1 to 4, but don't finish round number 4. When you reach the end of round 4, we are going to join the round, not like we did in the previous round. So insert your hook into the first slip stitch of the round, work a slip stitch, and chain 1 to join the round. Cut off the orange yarn, pull away the hook, and tighten it up. In orange slice B, we're going to use the off-white yarn to do something a little bit different. We're going to insert the hook right next to the off-white color yarn, yarn over into the loop, and then we're going to chain 40. 1, 2, 3, 4 until you reach 40 chains. Once we have our 40 chains attached to the slice, we're going to grab back the first slice we did and insert the hook with the chain on it right across the space here for the sewing. So insert your hook into each stitch here, grab back the yarn, and work a slip stitch into both loops. Then we're going to chain 1 and cut off the yarn. Pull away the hook and tighten the stitch up. Now you can go back to the second slice and work the lines inside like we did in the first slice. When you're done working the lines, you can take out the darning needle, take the 2 tails that we used for the lines and tie them both together. Just a simple tie, nothing too special, just to secure them together. And cut the tails off. And you can do the same to the other tails left. In slice A, we're going to need the orange tails for later, so leave them on and weave in, tie, and cut off only the white yarns. So weave in or cut off the white tails, but leave the orange tails on. And now we're gonna move on to make the glass. Next, we'll be making the glass itself, and we're gonna start from the top of the glass. We'll be starting with the orange color yarn, make a magic ring, and single crochet 6 into the ring. When you worked 6 single crochets into the ring, you can pull the strand and close the ring. And then slip stitch into the first single crochet in the round and join the round. Slip stitch and chain 1. For round 2, we're going to work 2 single crochets into each single crochet, meaning we're going to increase every stitch. So into the first stitch of the round, insert your hook and work a single crochet. Then insert your hook into the same hole and work another single crochet. Do the same for each of the next 5 stitches. At the end of this round, you're supposed to have 12 stitches. Don't worry about it if your magic ring got a little loose after working round 2. You can always just pull the string and it will be closed back again. Join the round by slip stitching into the first single crochet of the round and then chain 1 to close the round. To start round 3, we're first going to work 1 single crochet into the first stitch, first single crochet, move over to the next stitch and work an increase. First single crochet and another one into the same hole and increase. This is what we're going to repeat all the way to the end of the round, 1 single crochet followed by an increase. So let's do that again. Move to the next stitch and work 1 single crochet, move to the next stitch and work an increase. I'm going to finish my round off camera and I'll see you back again at the end of the round. I'm working my last increase for round 3. You're supposed to end with an increase. Make sure you have 18 stitches around, so count your stitches, and if you have 18 stitches, you can join the round by slip stitching into the first stitch. When you have 2 loops on your hook, slip stitch and chain 1 to close the round. For round 4, we're going to repeat round 3, but instead of 6 times, we're going to repeat that 9 times. We're going to start with 1 single crochet, move to the next stitch and work an increase, and repeat that for 8 more times. At the end of the round, count your stitches and make sure your counting is right. You're supposed to end up with 27 stitches around. If your counting is right, you can join the round with slip stitching into the first stitch of the round and chain 1. For round 5, we're going to single crochet around, 1 stitch in every stitch, but we're going to do it into the back loops only like we did before with the orange slices. So insert your hook between the loops of the first stitch, yarn over into the loop, and work a single crochet. Move over to the next stitch and work a single crochet into the back loop. And do the same for each of the stitches of the previous round. And you see those unused front loops here? We're going to use them later. So take a stitch marker, and if it doesn't bother you, mark one of the loops in the round so we'll know where to go back later. When you've finished with round 5 and you have 27 stitches in back loops only, we're going to join the round by slip stitching into the first single crochet of the round and chain 1. Next, for round 6, we're going to start by working an increase in the first stitch, 1 single crochet and another one into the same stitch, And then you're going to complete the round with single crochet only, 26 more single crochets all the way to the end of the round. When you've finished your round, you're supposed to end up with 28 stitches. We're going to join the round by slip stitching into the first single crochet of the round and chain 1. For round 7, we're going to simply single crochet around, 1 single crochet in each stitch, and again you're supposed to end up with 28 stitches. So I'm going to complete my round off camera and I'll see you back again at the end of the round. When you got to the end of the round, counted your stitches and made sure you have 28 stitches around, we're going to slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round and chain 1. To start round 8, we're going to start by crocheting 13 single crochets in the next 13 stitches. Don't forget to single crochet into the first stitch we just slip stitched into. Count your stitches to make sure your counting is right. We're going to increase in the next stitch. So 1 single crochet and another one into the same stitch to work an increase. And then we're going to do the same thing again, 13 single crochets and then increasing in the last stitch. 1 last stitch, increase. 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. At the end of this round, you're supposed to end up with 30 stitches, so count your stitches and make sure your counting is right. If you have 30 stitches, you can join the round by slip stitching into the first single crochet and chain 1. For round 9, we're simply going to single crochet around 30 stitches, so I'm going to complete round 9 off camera and I'll see you back again at the end of the round when we have 30 stitches around. I'm finishing off round 9. Count your stitches to make sure you have 30 stitches around, that we didn't miss anything, and join the round by slip stitching into the first stitch of the round and chain 1. To start round 10, we're going to start by working 14 single crochets in the next 14 stitches. After 14 single crochets, we're going to work an increase. And repeat that one more time, 14 single crochets and an increase in the last stitch. Here I am at the end of the round. I'm going to increase the last stitch after I worked 14 single crochets. At the end of this round, you're supposed to end up with 32 stitches, so count your stitches, make sure your counting is right, and if it is, join the round by slip stitching and chain 1. For round 11, we're going to again single crochet around 32 stitches in the round. I'll finish mine off camera and I'll see you back again at the end of round 11. When you finish single crocheting around, join the round by slip stitching into the first stitch and chain 1. For round 12, we're going to start by working 7 single crochets in the next 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. When we finish crocheting 7 single crochets, we're going to increase in the next stitch. 1 single crochet in the next stitch and another one into the same stitch. Then we're going to repeat this step 3 more times. 7 single crochets in the next 7 stitches, followed by an increase. 7 and increase. Let's repeat this 2 more times until we reach the end of the round, and I'll see you back again at the end of the round. And 7 single crochets, and we're going to increase the last stitch in the round. Count your stitches and make sure you have 36 stitches this round, and if you do, join the round by slip stitching into the first stitch and chain 1. Next, for round 13, we're simply going to single crochet around 36 stitches. So single crochet your way to the end of the round, and then I'll see you back again. When you got to the end of the round, count your stitches and make sure you have 36 stitches around, and if you do, join the round by slip stitching into the first stitch and chain 1. Now we're going to start decreasing, so for round 14 we're going to start by working 4 single crochets in the next 4 stitches, starting with the first stitch of the round. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I like to do an invisible decrease. To make an invisible decrease, we're going to insert the hook between the loops. So the front loop is on our hook. Then insert the hook into the next front loop of the next stitch. Now you have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and into the left 2 loops only. Now you have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over into the remaining 2 loops. And this is an invisible decrease. Let's do that again. 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, front loop, invisible decrease. Let's repeat that 4 more times. I'll complete my round off camera and I'll see you back again at the end of the round. Let's make the one last invisible decrease. Count your stitches and make sure you have 30 stitches around, and if you do, you can slip stitch into the first stitch and chain 1. To start round 15, we're going to start with 3 single crochets in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. And then work an invisible decrease in the next 2 front loops. Let's do that one more time. 3 single crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And invisible decrease. Let's repeat that 4 more times until the end of the round, and I'll see you back again at the end of the round. Let's work our last invisible decrease. Count your stitches and make sure you have 24 stitches in the round, and if you do, slip stitch into the first stitch of the round, chain 1, pull the hook away a bit, and secure the last loop with a stitch marker, because now we're going to put some stuffing material inside. You can either use stuffing material or even scrape yarn if you have some laying around. I'm going to use a lot of scrape yarn and also use a little bit of stuffing material. You can also do both. When it's filled up a bit, take out the stitch marker, put back the hook, and what we're going to do next is work 1 single crochet in the first stitch and then a decrease in the next 2 stitches. 1 single crochet, then 1 invisible decrease following. Let's complete this round and I'll see you back again at the end of the round. Let's work the last invisible decrease at the end of the round. Count your stitches and make sure you have 16 stitches around, and if you do, join your round with a slip stitch and chain 1 in the first stitch. For round 17, we're going to simply single crochet around. When you got to the end of the round, make sure you have 16 stitches around, and if you do, join the round and secure the loop to stuff the glass a little bit more. Now is the time to shape it a bit. When you like the shape, we can go back to our last loop, take out the stitch marker, insert back the hook. And what we're going to do next is work 2 single crochets in the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2. And next work an invisible decrease in the next 2 loops. And we're going to repeat this step 3 more times. 2 single crochets followed by an invisible decrease. When you're done, make sure you have 12 stitches around. And if you do, join the round with a slip stitch into the first stitch and chain 1. For round 19, we're going to work 1 single crochet in the first stitch and an invisible decrease in the next 2 stitches. One single crochet followed by an invisible decrease, and we're going to do that until the end of the round. Then we'll have 8 stitches in the round. Now that we're finished and we have 8 stitches around, we're going to secure the stitch one last time just to make sure that our glass is fully stuffed. And now that our glass is fully stuffed, we're going to take out the stitch marker. Next, we're going to insert our hook into the first stitch of the round, yarn over, join the round with a slip stitch, chain 1, grab our scissors and cut off the orange yarn. Pull away the hook and tighten the stitch up. We're going to start round 20 with the off-white yarn, so work a slip knot on your finger. Insert your hook into any stitch of the round, like this. Put the slip knot on the hook, wrap it around the hook, and into the loop, and chain 1. Then we're going to single crochet around with our new yarn. So 1 single crochet and another single crochet in each stitch. Overall, we're supposed to have 8 stitches in the round. Don't worry about the tails, we'll weave them in later. When you reach the end of the round and you have 8 single crochets around, we're going to slip stitch into the first stitch of the round and yarn over and chain 1. Next, we're going to single crochet around for 7 rounds. 8 single crochet in each round until you reach round 27. I'm going to complete my rounds off camera and I'll see you back again at the end of round 27. When you reach round 27, this is how it will look. We're going to join the round like we did before, slip stitch into the first stitch and chain 1. And next for round 28, we're going to increase each stitch. So starting with the first stitch of the round, let's work 2 single crochets in the first round, and then do the same to each of the next 7 stitches. One last increase. At the end of this round, you're supposed to have 16 stitches. Join the round with a slip stitch into the first stitch and chain 1. Then for round 29, we're going to work 1 single crochet in the first stitch, followed by an increase in the next stitch. And do the same in each pair of stitches. 1 single crochet, then move to the next stitch and work an increase. And 1 last increase. At the end of round 29, you're supposed to end up with 24 stitches. So count your stitches, make sure you have 24. And if you do, you can insert your hook into the first stitch of the round, work a slip stitch and chain 1. Next, for round 30, we're going to work 2 single crochets in the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2. And in the next stitch, we're going to work an increase. 2 single crochets followed by an increase. We're going to repeat that 7 more times until we reach the end of the round. I'm going to complete round 30 off camera, and I'll see you back again at the end of the round. When you reach the end of round 30, count your stitches and make sure you have 32 stitches around. If you do, join the round by a slip stitch and chain 1 and secure the last loop. We're going to grab some stuffing material and fill the neck of the glass a little bit. What I like to do is grab a darning needle and shove down the stuffing material. Shape it up a bit so it will be equally spread along the neck. And when your neck is stiff and solid, we can go back to the last round. We're going to insert the hook into the first stitch of the round, join the round with a slip stitch and chain 1. Then you're going to grab the bottom of the glass that we made earlier, press it together with round 30, and you're going to slip stitch together round 30 of the glass and the bottom of the glass that we did before. Each of them have 32 stitches in their last round, so insert the hook into the first stitch of the bottom of the glass, then into the next stitch in the bottom of the glass, and slip stitch the 2 together. Put the 2 stitches on the hook and slip stitch. Here I do recommend to use a stitch marker for the first stitch, so we'll know where our round ends. Slip stitch the 2 together until you reach the end of the round. You can cut off the tails from the 2 works. And now that we got to the end of our round of slip stitching, we're going to take out the stitch marker and join the round with slip stitching into the first slip stitch of the round. Might be challenging. And then chain 1, grab our scissors and cut off the yarn. Tighten up the stitch and our glass is complete. Now is the time to grab a darning needle and weave in all tails left. And what we're going to do next is go back to round 5 here, the unused front loops. We're going to grab the off-white yarn again, make a slip knot, insert the hook to the unused front loop that you marked with the stitch marker, and now you can take out the stitch marker. Put the slip knot on the hook, tighten it up into the loop and chain 1. Then you're going to slip stitch into each of the unused front loops of round 5. Insert your hook into the loop and slip stitch. And we're going to do the same to each of the 27 stitches of round 5. I'll complete my round off camera and I'll see you back again at the end of the round. When we finish slip stitching around round 5, the counting is not really important as long as it looks good. We're going to insert the hook into the first stitch, slip stitch and chain 1, cut off the yarn and tighten it up. Next we're going to use a darning needle to weave in the ends. And finally, we're going to put together the glass and the orange slices. Use the tail that we left, especially for that. See the space we left here? You're going to put it right into the off-white slip stitches round we did before. And you're going to just insert it around this round. Then you're going to take the second tail and do the exact same thing on the opposite direction, from bottom up. Now that it's steady, you're going to sew them together until it looks good and connected. When the orange slice is connected and it looks good, tie the two tails together. Nothing fancy, just a simple shoelace tie. Even do it twice. Grab the darning needle and weave in the two tails into the glass. And this is it, guys, we're done. Our Aperol Spritz bag charm is ready. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, share it with someone that you know will like it. And of course, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, it really supports my work. And of course, if you made this bag charm, please upload a photo and tag me on Instagram. I'll see you next video, bye!